Good
Hi,
morning, sir.
this is Abhay. Good morning. Sorry,
Good. No
I
problem.
had some urgent thing to take care. Sorry
No,
about
no
that.
problem. No problem. I'm Professor Neeraj. I
Hello,
will
sir.
coordinate this session today. Yeah. How are you,
Sure,
sir?
sir. All good, sir. All good. आप कैसे हैं? How are you?
Yeah. All doing well, sir. Our students are really waiting to understand the insights from your side on the entrepreneurship.
Okay. Hope I'm able to do justice to the session and expectations.
Yes, sir. So, sir, I would like to give you a little brief about the institute and students. As our institute is 22-year-old, and we have students from PGDM. So right now, all students are from all disciplines: marketing, HR, finance, and their expectation is that you just share your view, your journey. On the basis of that, they will ask you some questions, and you just answer that. Right, sir?
Yes,
Uh,
that sounds good. Yes, I've created a small presentation just to walk us through the content. But I'll make sure that there is enough time for that Q&A session at the end, of course. And if
yes,
something gets missed out, I'm happy to answer. You can reach out to me on. I'll share my email ID. I'll share my LinkedIn. So
yes.
feel free to reach out to me later on. Also happy to help.
Sure, sir. Sure. So Diksha, sorry, Poonam. Yeah, you can start, Poonam. Yes, everyone, you can start your video if the bandwidth is good.
Let's begin this session with a great quote. You cannot be a visionary without being a rule breaker. Good morning and a very warm welcome to everyone. I, Poonam Wagmare,
And I, Pradeep Roy, welcome you all to the session. Young Indians is an initiative of the Confederation of Indian Industry to create a platform for young Indians to realize the dream of developed nation, to become the voice of young Indians globally by the vision of Young India. It provides a platform for young Indians to participate in and contribute by becoming an integral part of young Indian growth story with a vision to influence, inspire, and motivate millions of students across the country who are the pillars of the Indian progression. Young Indians started its Yuva platform through which it envisioned connecting students to the community, the corporate CEOs, and the country at large, working towards the moment for nation building. Young Indian natures and support the Yuva by helping students get a taste of mainstream life and giving them a platform to work on leadership and nation building initiative, inculcating a sense of accountability and responsibility.
moving
Moving
on, the guest speaker for today's session, a mechanical engineer by education, Sir Abhay Maheshwari started his career with Honda Motorcycles and Scooters India Private Limited and is presently working with ZS as a management consultant. He has 7 years' experience consulting for organizations on projects across operations, analytics, strategy, program management, and new business development and sales. He is a creative thinker and is known for his strong imagination, visualization power, and initiative for starting projects and carrying them out with a lot of impulsive energy. Writer, storyteller, podcaster, public speaker, Sir is a multi hyphenate who has been performing for live audiences with some of India's renowned storytellers and storytelling collectives since 2018. In Jan 20, he started his fiction podcast Lal Chashma Hindi Stories, which has since then been featured and recognized by leading India audio streaming platforms like Ghana and JioSaavn, and is one of the top 10 most popular podcasts globally as ranked by Listen Notes. He's also the winner for Podcast Hunt 2021, where he's co-developing a podcast idea with JioSaavn. In his session, Power of Audio Storytelling, Sir will talk about the emerging podcasting space in India and how investment in niche language audio content can be an opportunity for making a widespread positive social impact. Without any further ado, let's hear it from Sir. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Poonam. Just a slight correction. I think this description is from my previous CII session. So the topic for today is actually around entrepreneurship. But
Okay.
like as you rightly said, that I am not an entrepreneur, so to say, right? Or am I? That's the question. So I'm going to like share my slides, and let's have it an interactive session. I'll take a pause in between. Happy to answer any questions. Poonam and sir, you can help me mediate them, moderate them. And thank you so much for the introduction. I will just start sharing my screen. Let me know once it's visible. Is it visible right now? Can you see the slides?
Yes, sir. It's
Yes, sir.
visible.
Is right.
Yes, sir.
So I'll just so actually I've joined through the browser, so, because my MS Teams app wasn't working. So let me know once I move it to full screen. Are you still able to see it?
Yes, it's still visible, sir.
It's still visible, right? Perfect.
Perfect.
Okay. So there are two types of entrepreneurship in my mind. Okay. So one is where you leave everything, leave all the worries of the world, or I won't say leave all the worries of the world, because you're stepping into new set of worries altogether. But you leave something behind and then you go after one thing with a full force, right? It could be any time in your life. You can leave your job and you start something of your own. You have a small family business, you want to leave that, start something of your own. You are a student and you don't want to go into the mainstream, either education or the job market, and you want to start something from your own. And the other element is for people like me, at least, who figured out what they are good at probably a little late in life, right? Now, I'm using the word late as a humor element, but there is no timeline to anything in life, which I also talk about in the further slides. So, what I'm going to talk about is what if you have, what if you don't have the option or the security to leave everything behind and start something new, yet you want to do something, right? And it could be anything. So you don't have to take this entrepreneurship as if that I'm setting up a multi-million dollar business, or I'm setting up a startup. No, I am a podcaster who started this as a creative outlet, right? Writing and reciting stories, interacting with people. It has gradually become something which is taking almost 40% of my weekly time, right? And 60% is still going to my job. Unfortunately, that's not the same ratio of my income, and 100% is coming from my day job. And probably that's where I can share some insights on how, and what are some tactical steps or tangible items you can use when you are in a situation like me, where you cannot give up everything immediately without having the security net. Most of us are coming from a middle class background, right? And I think that applies to a lot of us. Or even if we don't come from that background, I think our upbringing kind of asks us or pushes us to do something. And the innate fear in we as humans kind of always persist. But there is one element which I realized, I don't know, fortunately or unfortunately, because of the second COVID wave last year, is that time is extremely valuable and life is too short. ठीक है, I am not going to repeat the Zindagi Na Milegi Dobara concepts or anything, but there is some truth to what those movies are saying. Life is literally too short. If I don't take a step right now and I don't take an action on anything that I want to do today, there is no Saturday, Sunday in the future that will help me, right? So it is too short for long-term grudges, and one of the grudges being a grudge with yourself that you could not pursue what you really wanted to do. Now, Poonam spoke about a little bit of my intro from, yes, from a professional side, from a very LinkedIn perspective. I think that's what my definition is, or that's how I would like to define myself. But as an individual, I've always found myself in a little bit of a spiritual quarrel, or a conflict within me. I would always wanted to do something in my way, but people around me either kind of did not support, or I got fearful when I tried to take a step and मैं खुद डर गया कि अरे यार, oh God, this is too fearful, or which is very unlike the name. My name is Abhay, which is fearlessness. But for most part of my life, I was living with fear, and with the fear of judgment, with the fear of failure, with the fear of losing things, and a lot of many things, right? With sometimes even fear of success, by the way, and I'll talk about that in future. But that quest kind of took me in this last 7 years when I moved to Pune, had a new job here, and I moved from Honda. I kind of changed my perspective to life, and I let it happen. Sometimes when change happen, we don't let that. we don't embrace it, right? But for me, some of my closest friends, some friends from college 8 years ago, I have lost full touch with them, because as I evolved with time, I realized that they were just accidental folks who I met them, because of the Abhay who was there at that time. But the Abhay of present wouldn't probably want to hang out with them, and that is completely fine, right? So this may sound like a spiritual session. It might have some elements, but I will try to keep it still focused on the topic. Accomplishments, I think some of these things have already been discussed, and you guys get a flavor that when I look back 2 years ago when I started a podcast and my voice started reaching to a lot of people, I didn't know that could happen. All I was doing was that I used to write something, I used to think something, observe something, write something, and I put it out. Then the minute I started getting messages from random people from random corners of the world, literally corners of the world, I got a message from an Indian, like a Hindi speaking Indian, who has been living in Fiji, the country of Fiji Islands. And that person messaged me on Instagram saying, I accidentally stumbled upon your podcast and you brought me back close to my home, because I think he or she was an NRI and they have been living there for a very long time. I've got messages from various corners of India, and that made me realize that maybe I'm kind of touching a nerve that in some form that's happening. Now it is in today's day and time. It is very usual, right? You put a YouTube video or anything, so it seems very obvious that okay, if you put out something, someone's consuming and someone's doing it. But like I said, I was never that confident in life that I'll just put it out and I'll be like, okay, there'll be 100 million people listening to it, right? Or a lakh people following it or something like that. Plus, considering that I'm not doing this on a full-time basis, that I'm taking baby steps. So when I started, I took a baby step. I uploaded one episode in 2 months, then two episodes in 3 months, because that's what I could write. And then COVID happened immediately, a year ago. So in my limitations, whatever best I could do is what I did. And from that experiences, what I can say is that over the past 2 years, this quote has materialized in my life, right? If something is important, you do it even if things are not in favor. Or I would say you do it because you just want to do it, right? Or you just want to not have regrets or grudges with your life as you grow old. Because trust me, once you get out of college, uh, or once you get out of any institution for that matter, I think school, college, nothing in the Indian ecosystem, be it our families or be it the corporate setup, really prepares us to think differently, or prepares us for the world for that matter. The institutes want to provide that education, that service that's there, but it is our job to make benefit or make the most out of that opportunity, right? Not many of us get that chance. Like still, when I say many of us, there's a huge chunk of Indian population which still cannot get into B schools or engineering schools. So it is up to us, right? The teacher's job is to just come and give a lecture, but how much you absorb from it, how much you put extra effort to it, will define how much you stand separately from others. Because the same teacher or the same manager instructs or leads one common team of, let's say, 20 students or 20 people, but how much effort you put from your side will change the odds in your favor, right? And a lot of it has to do with the patience we need to have in life. Now, coming to the topic of the session, right? So a lot of you are familiar with the word entrepreneurship. So there's nothing new in that, and the Wikipedia definition also says that it's the creation and extraction of value. Right now, I'm not here. It particularly says in terms of monetary and all, business and all. I'm simply saying if you have a hobby, for the session, count that as being an entrepreneur. Okay, that you want to pursue that hobby for some degree. It could be 10 days, 3 days, 1 month, forever year. You don't know, you may or may not know right now, but it's okay, right? And if you have a preneur, like a concept startup or something in your mind, that also falls in this bucket. And if you have a hobby that you want to continue pursue throughout your life, right? Let's say painting, art, or anything. Let us put that also in this hobby. Now you graduate from your institute, be it B school or engineering or anything for that matter. You come out, you get a job. I'm taking a majority case scenario. You get a job, but you still have the entrepreneurial mindset in you. You are looking to fulfill that part of you. You are looking to fulfill being a dancer, or being a part of a group dance, right? Or something as simple as that. I just want to make sure that dancing as a hobby die every week, and at least over weekends you are able to pursue things. It leads to some opportunity or not, we don't know right now, but you just don't want to leave that one thing that truly gives you some sort of satisfaction. Not saying that job doesn't provide it, it does, right? And I'm saying that for people who still have that extra creative or extra inclination towards what they are most likely interested in, because jobs are a matter of, it's a matter of luck and effort, hard work and luck. Sometimes you work really hard, you get into a job, you feel that you would like it, you end up not liking it. So nobody has seen the future, but what you are sure so far is that something that I truly enjoy is what I would like to do. Now, a side job or a side hustle, so like how people call it, is basically pursuing something with a full-time commitment that you already have, which is in this case is a full-time job. So podcasting for me started as a creative hobby, creative outlet, became a hobby, and then eventually right now is a side hustle where it's literally like a small job which I'm doing in parallel to my primary job as a consultant. When you combine these concepts at a little spiritual and a meta level, right, if you think, that is where you get the concept of entrepreneurship without leaving the shore, right? I want to do my job, but I still have the inclination to do something different in a very different manner. Now, yeah, like this is the line which I came up with the last minute. When you seek the thrill and the adventures of the unknown, which is basically going into the ocean, hitting yourself against the waves and loving the weather and all that, but your boat is not yet ready to set out in the ocean. That's what exactly is the broader explanation of this session, which is entrepreneurship without leaving the shore. You want to enjoy, but unfortunately, maybe you don't have the luxury that your boat is all set right now. Maybe you need some more time, maybe you need some more effort. And hopefully, in this session today, I'll be able to tell you some key ideas which you can take back home and maybe start applying to your hobbies or your creative outlets or your preneurs, which can become. Uh, they can hope. I really hope they become full time, commitments for you, and you really get success through it. If not, at least it can become a side hustle. So first thing is stages of ideation and innovation, right? So if I am a dancer, if I am a storyteller, or if I am a, let's say, computer geek, or let's say a marketer, like I like to do digital marketing or do social media marketing. The first thing is, how do I ideate this? Because if you go on online, you'll see like a plethora of things. Like there's a bundle of things thrown on you. How do you filter noise? How do you filter noise out of the idea? So that's the first thing. Second is time in a bottle, right? So time is limited. You have to understand that nowadays, or in any form, every society kind of pushes you, or the motivation factor is always money. You can always get more money. There are hundreds and thousands of stories of people who got money later on in their life, but there is no one in history which said that they got time later in their life. Time keeps decreasing, right? So it could be your own commitments. Let's say you get married, you have kids or responsibilities, or it could simply be that you are aging, right? So the energy level as you are in 20s, of course, starts going down in 30s. I just turned 30 last November, and my energy level already has got down. So that's the thing, right? So time is the currency that you should run after, and not probably money, particularly in the early stages of your life, till at least till 30, 35. That will keep you focused on your goal. Of course, what you consume is what you become. We all are like trees, in some form, that our family, our background, what we study, what we surround ourselves with is what we become, right? And that's why there are certain stories to success. Like if you take Dr. APJ Abdul Kalam, from his story of coming from a very, very, very remote and not so developed society background. I'm not sure whether was it Kerala or was it Tamil Nadu. I think it was Kerala. To, of course, like being a legend, like we still miss him. So it's a long journey, right? So what you consume through that period is what makes you. The power of yes and no. See, everything in life is a simple 50-50. Suppose you set out to meet a friend. Will that friend come on time? It's a 50-50 chance. It's never 60-40. We may like to play with probability, but it's always 50-50. या तो 5 मिनट लेट आएगा या जल्दी पहुंच जाएगा, right? So life is all about a 50-50 chance, like yes or no. You have to decide where you have to go and what is in your best self interest. And second is, every all of us have a story to tell. If I bring any one of you right now and you may not have the professionalism or the professional knowledge, sorry, not professionalism, professional knowledge to package yourself in a story, but you can always talk about how your life has been. Like, given 1 hour to all of you, you can talk about that. But storytelling is different from story selling. How do you convert that, right? And I'm going to give you an example of my from my own side. So let's talk the first stage, right? Stages of ideation. Now, any idea, let's say you have, let me pick up the podcast idea. So when I had a podcast in mind, I didn't know that after 2 years, this is where I will be speaking to you guys, taking some of these guest lectures. No, this all unfolded like very, very, very gradually. It was never part of the plan or whatever you want to call it. But the first thing I started with was, okay, boss, understand what this podcasting thing is, and maybe just release one episode and see what the reaction is, which is what I call as early input stage, right? So if let's say you want to pursue dance as a side hustle, the first and foremost thing is, okay, the what is the least I can do, right? I can probably start dancing in my own home, or I can let me find a group of people, let's say post COVID when things get open. I let me find a academy nearby, let me find some people nearby. If you are in a college right now, let me find some group a group of people who do the same things, right? So the first and foremost stage is the concept, understanding what the concept is and looking out for that concept. Second stage is the prototype, right? What is a prototype? Now, I'm not talking about a product or anything. It's an ideas prototype. So I found a group of people who love to dance, and let's say that's an academy which is 5 kilometers from my house. You have figured out as a concept that you will take a scooty ride, go there, or a bus ride, and this is the timing that you have chalked out for it. The second stage is, how much do you want to extract from it? Because you may love something so much that you will get engrossed with it to the end, and you would want to pursue everything available, but time may not allow for it. What if you have a Saturday working? What if you have sometime, let's say you're working in a company which works in shifts, where let's say some weekdays you are at home and some weekends you are on work mode. So sometimes life may not work out that way. So keeping the realistic elements in mind, what is the bare minimum prototype that you can make for yourself, that okay, I'm going to, okay, I work 40 hours a week. There are about 72 hours in a week, blah, blah, blah. Let me put 5 hours aside for this. And the last stage then is early adoption, or the minimum viable solution, right? The minimum thing that you can do is, in this dance as an example, is just show up, right? I'm not saying you become the best dancer or join the troupe and start performing in flash mobs or concerts in the city, or start getting accolades. No, the minimum you can do is, with a job or with the commitment that you already have, the minimum is just show up there. Show up there, have a good time, enjoy what you're doing. That's the minimum thing, right? So this is I explained at a very, very conceptual and a very high level. This can go as tactical and as small as, if you are doing a podcast or a YouTube page, or YouTube or a Facebook page or an IG page or whatever. How do you conceptualize the pieces, right? So in my case, when I started, I the concept of my podcast is the Lal Chashma is a fictitious lens to show you world differently, right? So this is the first artwork that I created. It looks more like a crime thriller and less of a Hindi, slice of life, feel good sort of a podcast. But this is what I could just, like, I gave an idea to somebody and that guy just made it, and I said, okay, let's start with this. For about 2 months, I had this on my podcast, right? And then I started thinking, what can I do something better? This doesn't look like, doesn't give that feel, doesn't give a concept to it. So I started literally putting out things that, okay, there could be a body and which is thinking out loud, and this is the very intermediate artwork that I created. And after 3 months of my launching the podcast is when I created this artwork, which is now become synonymous to this, and that's become like the brand identity that I have. So it everything can have a journey, and on the way you can have that feedback, right? It doesn't always have to go in one shot. Same was for my setup. When I'm saying all of this, I'm coming from experience. I did not have a good mic, so I was recording on my phone directly. I didn't have a personal laptop that time, so I was using my company's laptop. And there were many things I couldn't do. I couldn't install editing softwares and all. So I had to take the extra pain of soundproofing the room using my blanket or something. I had to take the extra pain that I could not use editing software, so I have to record the same story 5 times, so that if there is one miss, then I could not edit it. I have to re-record it. Things like that. From that stage, I moved to the charter stage. That, okay, after 6 7 months I see that I'm comfortable with this. I feel that I want to do it a little better. Let me take one step, one notch up, one notch up, from moving from bare minimum to a little better, and see, can I invest something? So I bought some acoustic tiles. I got like a mic holder. The mic is still very cheap, by the way. It's a 300 rupee mic that I got, but the whole setup in the middle photo cost about like 1.5k or 2k. And from that it took me almost 1.5 year. This photo is from September from 2021, almost 1.5 year, where I actually got my own laptop and like a decent, about a 20,000 mic to record my podcast. So a lot of people ask me this: do we need an equipment? Do we need an equipment? No, you just need a will to get started, and you phase your idea in different stages as and when you move along. See, I'm still very skeptical today कि ये आदत कब छूट जाए, what day I might decide, oh, I'm just bored of podcasting. So I'm still not investing a lot. But I feel that, okay, I've earned a little bit of things, I can maybe make a move. So this is the stage of ideation, and it applies to any concept that you pick up. Second is time in a bottle. The first thing is you need to ask, is time really the problem or your discipline? In my case, it was discipline. Everyone has the same time, but I was so indisciplined kind of a fellow, like even today, that once my work would get over, I would then just get onto a YouTube marathon, and raat ko like 2 ghanta I'm just watching random YouTube videos. And I realized why. Like, if I use the same time to do my editing, if I use the same time to think some idea, or just relax for that matter, it makes me better prepared. So sometimes it's not time that is the problem, because time at the end is basically an illusion, right? It's mostly our way of looking at things. Second question you have to ask is, suppose you want to do something, but will you be serious enough if you have all time in the world? I'll tell you, I took a break from work for about 3 months. I took a sabbatical. It was a unpaid break, but I was still part of my company. And I realized that I had this discipline is the problem, because when I had no office work to do for 3 months, like my laptop was shut and submitted, I realized I was still not serious. I would still waste my time. I was getting up at 12 in the afternoon and then chilling around, chal raha hai, YouTube videos, marathon. So that is another question to ask. Will you be serious if you had all time in the world? Because usually we are quick to blame ke time nahi hai, time nahi hai. But this is the question to ask. Second, while all of this is happening, ask yourself, what is the excuse that you're giving constantly when you don't have time? Sometimes you'll say, "Arey yaar, time nahi hai yaar, because ye karna hai," right? Because ye karna hai. So the more number of suffix that comes after because, if it is a job, I don't have time because I have a job. I don't have time to do this because I have a job. The minute you start realizing that for every single thing that you want to do and you are blaming it on one piece, that means that somewhere you are either doing something wrong, or that particular job, or studies, or the curriculum, or whatever that one piece is, you have to understand that is where you have to become better at, right? Because till you have to ask yourself, kab tak you will stop, till what time you will stop pushing the opportunities that will come to you. There will be a point you will get frustrated that I want to dance and I want to do this thing, I want to paint, but something stops me from doing. So the immediate thing is that you have to become efficient in that one cause which you are constantly telling yourself, "Yaar, because of this I'm not able to do this." So maybe the minute you start thinking that, can I be more efficient in my job, can I can I be more attentive in my education, in my classroom, so that I can pursue other things outside. A very good example is Lewis Hamilton. If you're aware, he's a Formula One race driver. Lewis Hamilton, as a kid, Ayrton Senna, as a kid, they were both legendary F1 racing drivers. They both spent extra time in their class, so that they can, when they come back home, they can quickly finish their homework. They don't have to spend as much time to study for their test, and they have more and more time available for their racing practice or go-kart practice. So all the people in history have somehow, those who have did a side hustle and started as a side hustle, have realized that they have to be focused at some point. Now there's another concept which I realized that sometimes work gets done in your head, right? Or it keeps lingering in your head, but reality mein kuch nahi hota. In reality it's not happening. You keep saying, "Oh, there is an exam, there is an exam, there is an exam," but saying that in your head will not push the exam ahead or will not change your reality. You still have to study for the exam to get the marks. So this is exactly the kind of person I used to be in college. I would constantly crib, "Okay, guys, I cannot come and chill because the exam is 2 weeks away. Exam is 2 weeks away." My all my friends are chilling, and one day my roommate told me, "Ke, bhai, instead of like just cribbing about it, why don't you just sit and study?" And that just changed my perspective, that, oh my god, I just crib more in my head, and in reality I'm not doing anything, right? That's also a component that adds to your inefficiency. The other element is a strategy. You feel that you have made a strategy that, okay, in this I'll do this and that I'll do that and then this will happen. And after 2 days, if a small thing doesn't happen in your favor, or if small thing happens in your favor, and you change that plan completely or change the strategy completely, that is not a plan. Any strategy that changes daily is not a plan, and I am like a real life example in front of it. Um, and the larger thing, of course, is because time, you want to capture time in a bottle so that it stays with you for the whole purpose that, am I willing to give up the balance that I so far see right now? Right, I had a job, I could have just let it be. Okay, my job itself takes about 14 hours every day. Do I need to mess up that balance कि 14 घंटे के बाद अगर मेरे को सोना है, और उसमें I need to now find time to gym, now find time to eat and to do podcast? Do I want to mess up that for something which is a larger goal? That's the broader thing that you need to ask yourself. uh, of course, the biggest piece of, and the best piece of advice I've got so far is, the time of peace should be used in the preparation of war. You see the military and the army, doing all these exercise and all of that. It's it's only, the war is not coming tomorrow, but you don't know when it's going to come. So they are using the time of peace in the preparation of that war, and that kind of applies to all of us in many forms. Second is, what you eat is what you become. And this is something I realized, because in college I had a very bad habit of started eating a lot of junk food. I was living in a hostel. I had my pocket money and I was away from home, so I started eating whatever I felt was right. And I immediately started seeing that I was not feeling good, from a stomach standpoint or from a mental uh, peace standpoint, because it is junk at the end. That's the first time I observed that what you feed inside is what you will actually reflect in you. The second time I observed that when I was watching a few recent Salman Khan films, and I realized, what is this? I mean, why am I watching this, and how is it adding value to me? Contrary to that, I started watching a lot of Hollywood or Russian films at that time in my college, and I realized that some form of cinema really enriches my personality, my imagination, the way I think. So that's when I quickly made a change. I realized that even today, if somebody tells me, okay, let's go and do this, I ask myself, is it really going to add any value? Right? So, like, for example, trekking, not a problem with trekking. People like to do it. It's a physical activity. But do I want to climb mountains? Sure, maybe once, right? And I've done that once. Every single week, every other place, no. I don't get the thrill of bike climbing mountains, because I have realized that that's a temporary thrill. When you do so much of physical activity, it's an endorphin kick. It's like a drug, right? So the true kick is actually when subconsciously you're feeding with the right things. And that's where I realized that I'm a kind of guy who likes to sit alone. He likes to brainstorm things. He likes to do art. I want to do theater, or I want to watch theater or watch art movies, which is feeding the roots, the very foundation. It's not a drug. It's more like strengthening my foundation. But I have met a lot of people who are totally into gymming and all, and the minute they leave gymming, they're like, "Bhai, acha nahi lag raha." Right? So it shouldn't be like that. Like, anything can has a potential to become a drug. Anything that can lead to addiction. The next thing is that evolution is a choice. Like I said in the beginning, right? So over the journey, you will evolve. So what I used to like as a college student, the kind of movies, the kind of books. I never used to read novels and books in college, but I do very heavily now. That evolution is bound to happen. Now, in you will see Ranveer Alabadia or Ankur Wariku, a lot of these thought leaders who share their thoughts on many concepts. Now, I used to find resonance with those people some years ago, not now, because I feel that, okay, you can speak and convince a certain type of age group, right? But as I have moved from, yeah, let's say in my late 2020s, I realized that I need a little bit more scientific understanding of things. I just know need somebody shouting in my head that do it, do it, do it. So people like Gary V, Ranbir Alabadia, they come from a perspective where I feel a certain age group can be most most quick to adopt that things and maybe pick up some things. But it's a natural evolution, and I would say it's important that you get out of that comfort. Right, there are still some people in who are my friends, and they're still following the basic concept that Ranbir is sharing. Right, Ranbir hasn't experienced them, but he's also just giving us a फेंक के ज्ञान मार रहा है वो. Like, he hasn't experienced those things in his life, but he's just throwing it out loud. Now, somebody who's 22-year-old can probably buy that, because a 22-year-old mindset is that anything is possible. But when you come to a certain age, when you have had the hardships of life, you need to change the sources of what you consume. You can't, like, you don't read fairy tales now, right? You don't read fairy tales right now. Or even if you visit them, it's once in a blue moon. You don't, every day when you feel like reading a book, you don't pick up Cinderella, because that is that time. So maybe that's a better example, Cinderella wala. So that's the thing. So let that evolution happen. Let yourself get out of the comfort zone and realize that with different stages of your life, you will need different quantity and different types of information and to consume, for you to consume. It's like a tree. Literally, when the plant is small, you don't feed, don't flood that pot with water. But as it grows into a tree, you need a hose and a pipe to basically keep pouring water on that tree, because it's become bigger. So things need to change, and let them change. So if you are in a job and you are right now, let's say some inspiration you were taking from your job, in terms of some ideas, but it's very much possible that, okay, the project, the manager who you're working with, now everything's kind of saturated. You need to find something else. Okay, you went to a YouTube channel, you found some creative ideas, you were there for 6 weeks, 7 weeks, or whatever, maybe whatever time that suits you. You don't feel like anymore, fine. Right, of course you can search. So there's a constant quest of how you find that information to make sure that you are consuming it and growing in the right direction. Now, the power of yes, right? So this screenshot that you share is a very very screenshot I got for this guest lecture. I got this message at 11 o'clock: when do we plan your session with CIA? At 11:01, the phone was in my hand, without thinking anything. I wasn't told the topic, I hadn't thought of the topic. I just simply jumped on. I said, any time that suits you, right? You have to remember, when you are young and we're doing side hustles, right? When you're doing side hustles, particularly, accommodate to the other person's schedule, right? Opportunity has come. When it comes to you, don't take it for granted. Don't say, oh, nahi, mere ko to sabji lene jana hai us time pe. Oh, no, I have this, I have that. Oh, it might be a genuine commitment. I'm not saying that, like, if it is genuine commitment, then of course don't do it. But understand that if you have a full weekend to yourself and all you were doing was just chilling out here and there, an opportunity is now coming on your door. You can either take 15 minutes to think that kya karna hai, kya nahi, or you just bang onto it, right? And this is what I've been doing for the past 2 years. If somebody calls me for a guest lecture, I immediately say sure. It doesn't matter what institute, what topic, we'll figure it out, right? If somebody calls me for a podcast to be on there, to be as a guest, I said yes, because it's not like I'm a celebrity or something. Every opportunity I treat as a learning opportunity, right? I need to come and speak to you guys, because I know that once I speak to you, interact with you, when I prepare this session, I am learning more about myself, right? So, in a very true spirit of being selfish, I am doing this for myself, and that's what you have to think. That's what the power of yes does to you, right? It gives you the opportunity to change yourself, or bring about that very positive inclination that you were looking for. It really motivates you. Like, this 1 hour will, I know that 1 hour interacting with you guys and sharing my journey with you will just motivate you for the rest of the week, right? Probably more than that. So that's the thing, that opportunities come with an expiry date. And when you are in a side hustle, or when you're doing things in a secondary phase, they are not your primary focus. You have to understand that even though you have less time, in that less time only you have to squeeze your entire world, right? So take that opportunity with the best possible approach. Say yes to as many things as you can. Work around your schedule. Nothing is impossible. And don't wait for your stars to align कि अरे जब मैं best dancer बन जाऊंगा तभी होगा. नहीं, all the people who have reached that stage also have gone through that phase of incremental growth, right? Everyone reaches that phase. When my colleagues look at me, they feel, oh, Abhay, you just started doing this. No, but the friends who have seen me for the last 2 years, they know where I started and where I am, right? So don't wait for that thing to happen. Although this is not a Ratan Tata quote, because Ratan Tata himself said he never said this, but this quote has been flowing around the internet, so I thought I'll share that I don't believe in taking right decisions. I take decisions and make them right. Right. Personally, I don't care who said that. It's the two lines that matter, and that's exactly what I wanted to kind of illustrate with the situation for this session that happened. That you take a like it's a jump, it's a leap of faith, right? Like क्या होगा मतलब ये session, and I'll tell you, I actually made the session slides from 1:30 in the night to 4 o'clock, because my work got over by 10. Then I had to go in for my friend's birthday, very close friend's birthday. So I am trying to make that balance, right? But I knew that I cannot get up. I don't trust myself at getting at 5 a.m. and making slides for this session. So I just stayed, all night, and I said, okay, let me give 2 3 hours to this, think about the session, what it would be, and I'll just put it. And then I slept. I'm still half asleep right now. So after the session, I'm going to sleep. But that's the thing that comes with the power of yes, that a commitment, a sense of discipline, a sense of delivery will come into you, that even with the smallest time, you can make the best of the opportunity. Now, same comes when the power of no, right? Now, you might say that, oh, Abhay is saying that you should take every opportunity. Where is this no coming? Every opportunity which is in your best interest. I am talking about being selfish, right? Somebody reached out to me. This is an example of an email. Somebody reached out to me a week ago asking for me to do a voiceover or an audio book recording. Now, of course, everyone who is in the podcast and an audio space, people start, cross pollinating ideas. Okay? Like if you're a YouTuber and a good YouTuber, people will say, "Yaar, ek short film bana do," something like that. So I was keen to do that, and I actually jumped on this, and I said, "Okay, send me the material." And that's when I realized it's a 463-page book, like it's an Arabian Nights book with fine print. I'm like, I can do this, sure, but it is going to take me forever with a full-time job, because I can only do it after my job, right? Whereas somebody who's a full-time voiceover artist can do it through the day. मतलब I have to sit literally from 12 to 2, like 12 a.m. to 2 a.m. is my window, क्योंकि उसके बाद कुत्ते उड़ जाते हैं, तो वो भौंकना चालू कर देते हैं, गार्ड आ जाता है, ट्रेन आती है, ट्रक चालू हो जाते हैं, tens and thousands of noise start coming, and the quality of the work will go down. So I immediately said that I'm really sorry that I couldn't do it because of the responsibilities of my job. But so I said no, right? So weird power of no. But if there is something shorter, please send it to me sometime. I would like to give it my undivided attention and ensure quality output is there in the delivery, right? So even though I was saying no, I always told her that what am I up for? कि हाँ मैं बड़ा नहीं कर सकता, बट मैं छोटा कुछ कर दूंगा, मतलब ग्रैंड मामा स्टोरीज और चंदा मामा की कहानियां टाइप समथिंग, ठीक है? And the most important component is quality, because I am being realistic. I have a job, uske baad I have only 3 4 hours ka window to do something, and that's 3 4 hour window if I'm lucky to get it every day, theek hai? So I need to consider everything when I'm doing a side hustle, with a prior commitment, that what am I promising and what am I delivering. You should never over promise and under deliver. Okay, it's okay to like under promise and over deliver. That's actually the right way to go. Even in jobs that we do, we complete the work at 1 o'clock in the afternoon, we send the email at 1 o'clock in the night to show our boss in America that oh, we are so hardworking. But don't do that. Not a good practice. But yes, so never over promise and under deliver, right? And even when you're delivering, you have to make sure the quality is essential. You say one line out, right, but it needs to have the impact. उस एक लाइन में तुमने अगर, if you don't give it with the zeal that the delivery, it needs to come out, right, it will be immediately visible. If that 1 minute performance of your dance or 5 minute work of your art you did not give that undivided attention to it, you did not ensure quality to it, it doesn't matter that how good or side hustle blah 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 you're doing. The person who's at the receiving end will immediately catch it, and either they'll not come immediately, or sooner they will, they'll just go away. I know an artist, the person Zaiba from Bangalore. She works in Infosys, and she is an artist. She paints, makes art, and all the artwork that I shared in the beginning. Some of this artwork that you see on the right is the one that she made. She sketches that out, and I send her, मैं उसको weekend पे sketch बना के भेजता हूँ, Zaiba, I need something like this. And on the next weekend, and when she makes, and after 2 weeks, she sends me that, right? So she's planning all of that with her job that she's in Infosys working full time. She needs to manage this somehow. But look at the quality, right? So initially she was doing it with stencils and this thing, and then it got into that element. Like this may look like a very amateurish thing, but she started very very basic. Like if you go to her page, it's not even like this good. It was very 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 basic, जैसे 2 साल के बच्चे ने sketch बनाया. But eventually you see she has grown in the past 1 year that I have been working with her, and she has grown to like get my idea the way it is and produce it the way I think that it is. It's not about how she thinks that it is. When you are delivering something for somebody else, you have to consider the receiver, not just your creative art. So she knows that Abhay likes to have a little bit of homely touch. Abhay wants to keep it like unnatural. I don't want a very fine figured line. ये turtle का shell अगर proper oval या circle नहीं होगा चलेगा. I want that unfinished element in my art. So that's the thing that you keep in mind, and there are many examples I can go on and on. People who are pursuing this, and even from a job standpoint, right? I have said no in the last 6 months. After I started making storytelling and podcasting, I have said no to many people that okay, मैं नहीं कर सकता यार ये. Okay, what is the cost of it? Sure, my review will go down. I'll get 1% less bonus. Fine, but at least what am I getting in return? It's the happiness. It's the less regretful life that I'm moving towards, right? So you have to pay a price at every stage. By the way, like mind it, you cannot just feel oh, I'll just do everything and everything will fall in place. Everything comes with a price. Okay, nothing ever in this life is free. Anything you go and buy comes with a cost. Anything you do in life, any decision you take in life, it's always 50-50. It will always have a chance to be it can always cost you something in some form or the other, right? It can sometimes cost you your relationships, it can cost you money, it can cost you time, it can cost you mental peace, but it will cost you something. So be familiar, be cognizant of that. Now last line is, like I said, stories teller is story seller, right? We all are like a hanger in some form. Like there's a hook that we want to achieve. We want to hook onto a podcast or our journey of something we want to do with the outside work, or maybe a simple thing, यार मुझे बस time चाहिए to do, like to play. Like some people just want to go and play and like they'll enjoy playing, right? So that's the hook, and that is what converts into a goal. A hook is, I want to play football every day. The goal is, okay, let me do it from 6 to 7. How do I achieve it? You are the protagonist of your own life, but of course you are weighed down by the obstacles. It could be work, studies, or responsibilities whatsoever. But what you need to realize is the story that you tell yourself is the story that you will sell to others, right? A lot of people ask me, Abhay, why don't you become a full-time artist and become a full-time podcaster? Because my story right now is a middle class guy's journey of incremental self belief, from finding passion to making it a side hustle with a full time consulting job. The minute I become a full time artist, it will what is the story? Bas a guy Abhay who's a middle class guy who's an artist. So the element that I am pursuing these things with my full time job, the element that I'm here speaking with you guys with a full time job, it adds that element to my story, and I'm able to sell myself better. कि अरे वाह 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 ये आदमी 10 चीजों के साथ एक 11वीं चीज भी कर रहा है, right? That's why you talk about these IITians who became movie artists. Why don't they leave their IITian tag now that they have become, let's say, got into become like a guitarist or like an actor? Why the IITian tag still goes along with them, or why a engineer turned pastry chef? Why does that tag still goes along? Because that's how good people know how to sell themselves, right? And I'm being very open and honest here. That's how I've been selling myself. So it's not that I'm being it's not an imposter syndrome. I'm not being untrue to what I am. I'm just saying I know how to package it. I know how to read people's mind. I know how to tell them that who am I, right? Am I just an artist who came and started doing podcasting, or I'm somebody who went through a journey and has so much to share with you, right? Of course, those artists will have a journey to share, but they need to realize that the way they talk about it is what at the end matters, right? If I keep thinking in my mind, I'm an artist, तो तुम लोगों को कैसे पता चलेगा कि who what am I thinking? I need to speak, I need to sell myself that way, and that changes everything. Lastly, yes, it is possible for ordinary people to choose to be extraordinary, right? If within your limited circumstances, within every responsibility that you have, you can choose to do something out of the bounds. And I can assure you that it is possible. It will take time, it will take effort, it will take everything from you, but it is possible. And I wish you all the best. And these are some recommendations, some podcast which you can probably listen to if you are having that kind of a inclination that you want to do something. They are not like they are oriented towards business, but they also cover a big element of personal life and understanding how to become that person. And of course, it's your smartness on how what you take from them. If you feel कि अरे यार ये तो business बेच रहा है, मेरे को business नहीं करना, मेरे को dance करना है, so you won't listen to it. Sure, but a smart person would know that how to find the right insights even from a business podcast, right? And the same way, some of these books, some of these sources that you can see, I think in my opinion, life is about living with a little bit of consciousness, a little bit of strategy, and some of these tools in the past have been useful for me in developing that so far. I think that's the end, and I'm sorry I think I went a little beyond that I've planned, but yeah, I think I'm happy to take any questions that you guys have any there, or any insights that you guys want to share.
Yes, yes, sir. So thank you, sir. Thank you. Means the way you have communicated and the way you have completed the complete things, really it's appreciable, including the podcast, including the books which you suggested to our student. Yes, now we will take the questions from students. Yes, Harshit, you can ask your question.
Good morning, sir. My name is Harshit Mishra, and I'm from Gwalior, Madhya Pradesh. Sir, as you mentioned in your earlier in your earlier that you are a lazy person, you were a lazy person, and so I just want to ask you that actually I want to say something like I am also a lazy person. It is quite difficult for me to just get into what I really want to do. So, so how you just come out from that zone? Like, I have to do this now.
See, most important in most cases, people learn from their mistakes or their failures, right? In my case, I was simply seeing that when I went to a job and I couldn't speak properly, like couldn't communicate to people what I was thinking, so I have to become better at it. Now I had a choice. Okay, yaar, I can be lazy or I can put effort. Okay. So simple point is, yeah, what is your goal? You need to understand what is your goal and what is currently hindering you, or what is the impetus right now to stop reach you to that goal, right? Like I said, let's say you want to become, as simple as that, you want to become good at your own studies. अब अगर तुमको this is your goal and then you're like नहीं यार अभी तो फीफा का मैच आ रहा है, अभी तो आईपीएल आ रहा है, तो भाई then you are not focused. ठीक है. I read somewhere that if you need inspiring words to do some work, probably you are not that interested. ठीक है. So usually people get this kick through a failure or through a goal. In my case, it was through a failure. I started seeing that my health was deteriorating, or I started seeing that, I'll be very honest, I lost my grandfather during the second wave. Okay? And I saw so many things in the crematorium at that time. It was like a reality check for me. Okay? I was 29 at that time, and a guy who was 31 years old just उसका body मेरे पीछे लेके आए थे. Now that became a big eye opener. Now do you want to be lazy? Do you really want to be lazy? Okay, yaar, that guy is just 2 years elder to you. You don't know that person's life, and he is just like he's also going to be cremated now, right? There's a 23-year-old guy. Like bodies were just piling up behind. Like it was a bad time, right? We all know. And as what I've in the crematorium, I just realized I don't have time. I cannot be lazy. अभी मेरा हालत ऐसा है कि if I don't do, and if sometimes when I go to sleep, I feel, oh my god, why am I sleeping? Okay, and I'm not exaggerating, because I have, like I said, na, that failure, that thing kind of hit me. That, boss, you need to get up, right? Life is happening today. Life is not happening. Life is not a weekend. Life is not a weekend or a Sunday. See, yesterday, like day before, a manager of mine scolded me for not attending a 9 to 9:30 meeting. It's 9:30 to 10 in the night. मैं सुबह 8 बजे से काम कर रहा हूँ, ठीक है. वो मैनेजर आके बोलता है तू मीटिंग में नहीं आया. मैंने कहा, who told you to keep it at 9:30? Or you come, you are interested to stay at 9:30, you be there. Now the manager said, no, Abhay, this will impact your performance and all. Fine. If somebody puts a stick on your head, it's your choice now. You can get scared and then के लगा हाँ ठीक है कल से हम 9:30 की मीटिंग में आ जाएंगे. Or you can say very upfront, ठीक है, you come, you like to slog, you slog. My life is not on weekends. My life has started after 8 o'clock in the night. Khatam, that's it. I will only take urgent meetings. If who told that I have to? Who has told me कि मुझे मेरे बॉस के हिसाब से एडजस्ट करना है? अरे लोग भगवान के हिसाब से एडजस्ट नहीं करते, तुम बॉस के हिसाब से एडजस्ट कर रहे हो यार. So that's the weird part of life. ठीक है, we get so scared by small things कि वो lazy पना कभी हटेगा ही नहीं. So you need a big kick. In my case, like that COVID second wave was a huge kick, and I was like in a very existential crisis कि यार नहीं, ये नहीं हो सकता. ठीक है. I reduced my work time. I went to my boss. I said I cannot work 5 days a week. For 3 months I was working 3 days a week. My salary reduced. ठीक है. अब some people are like, oh, why did you do that? My dad was like, why are you doing this? अरे, in Indian society there is never a right time to take a risk. Right? When you are 22, they will say don't take a risk. When you are 30, you don't take a risk. अबे तो आदमी करेगा कब? ठीक है. So don't think too much. Get out of your lazy bed and just do it. ठीक है. Now when this is the biggest part. I took that part time Thursday, Friday was off for me. That's why I was able to build this empire for myself, yeah. Right? Because like I said, time is currency. Money is not currency. वो बैंक में है मेरे पास. But that was not helping me anyway. Right? So just take bold decisions and just dump on with it. And जो भी फिर आए, just ठीक है, आगे का आगे देखेंगे. But अभी बेड से उठो, get out of the laziness.
Yes, sir. Thank you, sir.
And Harshit, if you are getting means you are staying awake till 2 a.m., then if you are lazy, then I think that you should be lazy like that. You should get up till 2 a.m. and become a lazy. Okay. Yes.
Very much. So when I got the
Poonam,
Geo7 opportunity, I'll say, like, I'll just add a point. When I got the Geo7 opportunity, when I won that, for in September, मैंने एक भी दिन Netflix नहीं देखा. मैं काम किया ऑफिस में, आके चुपचाप पॉडकास्ट लिखा, रात में बैठ के लिखा, सुबह 4 बजे उठ के 4 से 8, फिर रात को 2 से 3 करता गया. क्यों? इट्स अ लाइफ चेंजिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर मी. और आई कैन ट्रीट इट लाइक ठीक है, Geo7 जीत गए, क्या है उसमें गया. और आई कैन मेक इट अ लाइफ चेंजिंग अपॉर्चुनिटी फॉर मी. सो आई हैव द चॉइस. एक मेरा पूरा मंथली नेटफ्लिक्स प्राइम वीडियो ऑल द सब्सक्रिप्शंस वेंट फॉर टॉस एट दैट टाइम. मैं एक पिक्चर नहीं देखा, एक सीरीज नहीं देखा उस टाइम पे. तो सीरियसनेस आपके अंदर से आती है और वो आपको डिपेंड करता है. लाइक आई सेड, समटाइम्स इट इज गोल, समटाइम्स इट इज फियर. राइट?
so sorry to interrupt, Abhay sir. And means I would like to share my experience also. In engineering, you will come to know that how to stay awake throughout the night. As I'm also from the engineering background, when I was in my 8th semester, I have a fear that I may fail. I may get screwed in the microcontroller subject. So I study for 3 day and night continuously for that subject because it was my 8th semester and I don't want to take a chance. Already all engineers have a habit of getting late, study late night. But that time I come to know that I can study for 3 days non-stop. I don't have any
Hmm.
problem with that. And so getting for late night, but make sure that up to specific age only you can do this. After 30 35, don't do these type of practices, getting staying late at night. Instead of that, follow the natural way, like getting up early and staying means sleep at the early. I think so it is right, sir. Abhay sir, if you will means confirm this.
No. You are right, absolutely. But there is no age to do anything. I'll tell you when you mentioned that.
Yes.
I am very glad I failed in my basic electronics exam in first semester. Ush time pe my dad was very disappointed. I was very sad. I never failed in any exam in my life, and I failed in first semester. I had to take a flight back and make up exam and all that. And I'm like, "Arey, life to khatam. Tumhara grade F aa gaya ye wo." But looking back, the best thing that could happen. It changed me. Second semester onwards, my life changed. बिकॉज टिल फर्स्ट सेमेस्टर आई वाज लाइक अ मग्गू, लाइक अ नर्ड गाय. ठीक है, दिन भर पढ़ता था, मैं रोज पढ़ता था, फिर भी फेल हो गया. मेरे दोस्त एक हफ्ता पढ़े, वो पास हो गए, अच्छे नंबर ला गए. सो द लाइफ पर्सपेक्टिव चेंजेस व्हेन यू फेस ups and downs, and that's completely fine. There's a movie called The Founder, which is based on the story of McDonald's, right? The founder of McDonald's, Ray Kroc. And then there's you should all watch that. I think it is there on Netflix, or it is there on YouTube or anywhere. So the founder, that guy, like the founder of McDonald's, was at 53. He's a 53-year-old salesman who started McDonald's at that time, right? But he is not the founder of McDonald's. But look at the zeal. He उसमें घर अपना गिरवी रख दिया था, सब कुछ गिरवी रख के उसने आज देखो, like करोड़ों मतलब 40-40 रुपए का बर्गर हर
Right.
बच्चे के हाथ में पकड़ा दिया उसने. ठीक है. So I think some of the stories also inspire you. The minute you get into the zone, you start absorbing this. See, अभी हम सबको पता है there is a Steve Jobs, but we can't be Steve Jobs. The minute I start my own journey, I start my own podcast, I can relate to Steve Jobs कि नहीं भाई अब तो रात भर जगना पड़ेगा, right? तो that's absolutely true. Yeah, and I know we are on time, but I'm happy to, I can stretch and I can take any more questions that are there if you guys
Yes,
have
we
time.
will take 2 or 3 questions. Yes,
Sure.
Diksha or Poonam, you can ask your question.
Diksha, go ahead.
Poonam, go ahead as you are.
Okay. Yeah, so sir, your journey reminded me of this series TVF Pictures, very well known. So the when I saw this series for the first time, I didn't even knew what is the meaning of a startup and entrepreneurship. Like there's a dialogue ki spelling aati hai entrepreneur. Because I was the one who didn't know the spelling of entrepreneurship. So what this one thought which was very evident in that series was, to an entrepreneur you also need to be a fighter. So I would like to know any of the incidents where you were an entrepreneur and also a fighter in your journey.
Every day, yaar. See, I have never, from day one, I have never treated my podcast or anything like a creative outlet. Okay. I actually hate myself being called as an artist, honestly. I have always been a businessman, okay, or a businessman slash artist. I'll give you an example. Like on this Thursday, there's a AI based startup, and they are into music, and they reached out to me. They said that Abhay, music is into music is a crucial component of podcast. We want to understand the ecosystem from you and how what all will how, because we want to make our product better. Unka product beta stage pe tha, they want to enhance it. And I started speaking very random things. I said, "Arey, copyright issues, ye, wo, arey, what do you think that?" And they had no answers. The only thing they came prepared was, "Ke, oh, our product is free and many people are using it, and you should use it." I said, first of all, like I said, nothing is free in this world. That's fine. But if it doesn't mean that if no artist asks that question doesn't exist. Right. So my entire, it's a 1 hour conversation, 50 minutes mostly were around what are the legal clauses. तुम मेरे को कहाँ फंसाओगे, right? If I take your platform versus let's say a paid library online of music, what is the catch in you, right? They are like, we don't know. I said, you send me your terms and condition sheet. How none of us reach terms and condition sheet. I have read all terms and condition sheet of every podcast platform, everything that I go with. Okay? That is where the thing that you need to understand, that this mindset has to come, right? That's why most artists, like वो जो हिंदी में कहते हैं ना कि आधे से ज्यादा आर्टिस्ट दारू पी के मर जाते हैं, ठीक है? No offense to anyone, but there's some truth to it, because the more I interact with this industry, I see that they are all very strongly creative, but not everyone is able to sell things, right? So from day one, I think, and of course, TVS Pictures has been an inspiration. Like many of these shows, I still listen to the original soundtrack of TVS Pictures. आते जाते कान में चलता रहता है. It inspires you, create, churns out ideas. So एक business की तरह सोचना बहुत जरूरी है. It could be, and maybe it's not possible for everyone, but it just came out naturally. Plus, my consulting background kind of adds that flavor to me, right? So all the things I talked to you about, the ideation phase and all, वो दैट इज डायरेक्टली वो मैं छापा है अपनी कंपनी से, ठीक है? कल मैंने अपनी कंपनी की वो डेक यहाँ पे कॉपी करी, एंड आई पुट इट ऑन माय लोकल लाइक पर्सनल लैपटॉप, एंड आई कॉपीड इट फ्रॉम देयर. So there are certain things that you learn, like cross pollination जिसे बोलते हैं, you cross pollinate ideas. Lot of people we feel कि यार अच्छा हम तो आर्ट कर रहे हैं तो बस यही सही है, और अब तो हम बस MF हुसैन को ही फॉलो करेंगे. नहीं यार, why don't you follow somebody who's not in that art, but you can still learn from their journey, right? I am not a guitarist or a musician, but I have followed Ed Sheeran's life. I have followed Lata Mangeshkar ji's life. I have followed A.R. Rahman's life. It is just an inspiration. So एक smart बंदा जो होता है, वो जैसा मैंने कहा ना कि बिजनेस की चीज में से भी आपको क्या निचोड़ना है वो आपको समझना है. यू आर अ स्पॉन्ज, राइट? व्हाट यू एब्जॉर्ब इट डिपेंडेंट ऑन यू. आप ये सोचें, ये निग्लेक्ट कर देंगे, दिस इज डजंट मैटर, ठीक है, श्योर, देन यू आर मिसिंग सम लर्निंग दैट आर आउट देयर. रही बात ऑन द पार्ट ऑफ फाइट, everything, yeah. When I started this in 2020, the lockdown kicked in. I was alone in Pune. None of my friends were there. I wanted to do this, and every single day I had this fight within के यार ये मेरा काम मेरे को जीने नहीं देगा. Because during COVID, most of our work became like double. Like मतलब क्योंकि एक तो work from home हो गया, सब हो गया. So I started hating my job. I started went into mental trauma कि यार I want to do podcasting यार, I am, या और story telling, I want to do writing. एक basic सी hobby मैं कर नहीं पा रहा हूँ because I am spending 16-15 hours in a job, right? That may not be look like a little fight, but it was more like a mental fight. Every weekend I had to restart the engine. Monday to Friday I am in a certain mode, and then Saturday, half of my Saturday would go just to restart myself. कि okay, अब मैं creative outlet में आऊंगा. तो एक दिन बचता था संडे, इसलिए एक स्टोरी निकालने में मुझे 4 हफ्ते लग जाते थे, क्योंकि मुझे 4 दिन मिल रहे हैं effectively, right? But that's the thing. And then I think it moved to a next level after second wave, where I realized life is way too short. ठीक है, forget about this. Like, see, it's all an illusion. I came back after the second wave to office में ऐसा चल रहा है जैसे कुछ हो ही नहीं रहा बाहर. Like they're like, guys, let's do this. Like I'm like, तुम पागल हो गया? Like, are you guys not seeing? Like, are you so senseless कि even in the TV when you see something, it doesn't touches your soul कि क्या हो रहा है वहां पे. And मैंने नोटिस किया यार कि जिनके घरों में भी हुआ ना, बहुतों के, मतलब एटलीस्ट मेरे आसपास, मेरे बचपन का दोस्त 5 दिन हॉस्पिटल में था. हम यहाँ दुआ मांग रहे हैं घर में कि यार समर्पण को कुछ दिक्कत ना हो, वो बाहर आ जाए. वो बाहर आया, 3 महीने बाद गोवा चला गया. आई एम लाइक, तुमको लाइफ की कुछ भी वैल्यू है कि अभी भी कोरोना का स्केयर गया नहीं, 3 महीने बाद नहीं, शायद जैसे ही खुला था दिल्ली में, वो 3-4 हफ्ते बाद ही निकल गया था हिमाचल या वो सब, जब वो हिमाचल भागे थे ना सब दिल्ली में. तो that's the thing, like what some people might take it extreme, or life is too short, let me enjoy everything. Some people are like, life is too short, let me find what I need to do. And there is a fight. So the fight comes when you're trying to find something. If you're following something which is already there, मैं भी घूमने जा सकता हूँ, मैं भी घूमने जा सकता हूँ बिंदास, but I wanted to find what I truly wanted. And that is a mental fight, like a spiritual fight within, like, वो होता है. And it comes with the baggage. Like I said, अगर ऑफिस में मुझे कोई चीज डीप्रायोरिटाइज करनी है तो मैं कर देता हूँ. लाइक आई हैड अ मीटिंग विद दैट स्टार्टअप फ्रॉम 3 p.m. to 4 p.m. on a Thursday. In 2021, I never used to take, like 6 months ago, I never used to take meetings on weekdays. ठीक है, क्यों? क्योंकि ऑफिस है जी, ऑफिस है जी. देन आई रियलाइज, फॉरगेट अबाउट दिस यार, लाइफ है ना ये. ठीक है, लाइफ तो नहीं रुकेगी ना. लाइफ को जब ऑफिस नहीं रुक रहा तो लाइफ क्यों रुके? सिंपल. आई फॉट विद माई मैनेजर बाय 3 से 4, आई एम नॉट अवेलेबल. खत्म. यू वांट टू शेड्यूल अ मीटिंग, यू गो अहेड विदाउट मी, आई एम नॉट देयर. खत्म. तो स्मॉल स्मॉल फाइट्स व्हिच हैव अ टेंडेंसी टू पाइल अप एंड लाइक लीड टू फ्रस्ट्रेशन issues, they are also part of risk. When I moved from a 5-day work week to a 3-day part-time work week on a temporary basis, it did impact my review. मतलब मेरे को हो सकता था और 50,000 रुपए बोनस में मिल जाते, वो कम मिले. ठीक है, but that's the thing, that's why I said that everything comes at a cost. And that when you pay that cost is the element of fight, right? How much do you pay? Sometimes it is you who pay, or sometimes it is, if you have a family, they pay, right? But somebody has to pay. It can, लाइफ इज वो एक हाथ में, दोनों हाथ में लड्डू, जो हिंदी में कहते हैं ना, दोनों हाथ में लड्डू कभी नहीं मिलता. यू हैव टू पे समथिंग.
Thank you, sir. Thank you.
Yes.
Thank you for sharing that.
Yes, we will take last question.
Yeah. Good morning, sir. I'm Diksha Gaikwad from Singrauli, Madhya Pradesh. Sir, as in every of your wording, you're mentioning about you have to take the risk. So I just want to know that, yeah, right now we are in such situation that we are stepping to a new career, new life. Working means from a student to a working life. So as we have taught and we used to listen from people like you have to work in every condition. You
Hmm.
have, for starting years, you have to work in any condition, to give your best. So what would be your input? We should take a risk and say our manager, as you have mentioned about it, like yes, we want our time, our personal mental stress should not be there. So we should take a initial risk, or just we should work, as everyone mentioned, work for 2-3 hours, build up your profile, then you are able to say to a person.
Very good question. So both pieces are actually true. ठीक है, I'll tell you. The problem is, if you come to a company, or if you start a job, or if you you start working, if you don't set boundaries in the beginning, कि मैं जा रही हूँ, bye, खत्म, I am done, then people will automatically assume that you're willing to stretch. And the minute you don't stretch, they will start saying, अरे यार दीक्षा, तुम तो अभी 7 ही बजे हैं, वो that नवीन पॉली शेट्टी वाला वीडियो कि आज फिर से हाफ डे, right? So the minute, so I think the important thing, and I have also made that mistake, and I will probably do it better when it comes to my, if I make a switch now, is that from day one I'll be like, boss, 8 o'clock onwards I am done. Now whatever happens, it is company's problem. You want to sit and do, fine, right? But yes, there is also an element कि जब आप छोटे होते हैं, जब आप किसी कंपनी में शुरू करते हैं, तो सब आपको दबाते हैं. ठीक है, क्यों? क्योंकि they themselves never paused in life and thought कि यार हमें भी ये नहीं करना चाहिए. And most of my managers, like my manager, why she's scolding me? Who told her to stay up at night? मेरा मेरा एक और मैनेजर था, बहुत शान से मेरे को बोलता था, तुम पता है मेरा 2 साल का बेटा है, लेकिन मैं सुबह 6 बजे से रात के 4 बजे तक काम करता हूँ. क्यों करता है भाई? किसने कहा तेरे को? Who told you? Your kid will hate you for this after 15 years, when that kid will start having his or her own brain. ठीक है? So we always have a choice, right? Now if you get under this manager, I was under this manager. ठीक है? मेरे को मैसेज आते थे सुबह 6 बजे. एंड दिस पर्सन इज इन इंडिया, बाय द वे, पुणे में रहता है. ठीक है, सुबह 6 बजे मैसेज आ रहे हैं मेरे को व्हाट्सएप पे. That guy crossed all boundaries and went to WhatsApp like, अबे ये आया है वो आया है. I ignored him. I would come at 11 online at 11 only or whatever the time is, and then I'll be like, हाँ ऐसा ऐसा है, हाँ ओके देख लूंगा मैं. वो सीन जोन करके छोड़ दिया मैंने उसको. ठीक है. अब तुम क्या कहोगे कि मैं तो इस कंपनी में 6 साल से था तो मैं कर पाया नहीं. कंपनी में आई वॉज इन दिस कंपनी फॉर ऑलमोस्ट 6 years when I was able to do it, but with that person I was working for the first time. And in this 6 years of learning, I realized that whenever you work with somebody, set expectations from the first day. So you guys can also do it, right? Now the thing is that it will come with a repercussion. It will come with a cost. The cost is people might believe, "अरे ये hardworking नहीं है, ये नहीं है." तो are you okay with that? Are you okay not having a very fast-paced growth? Are you okay to having a decent growth? Right? Are you okay कि मेरे को कल सीईओ नहीं बनना, मैं अगर 10 साल में भी सीईओ बन जाऊंगी तो चल जाएगा. ठीक है. Are you okay with that? It comes to you. You cannot control other people. If your man, like I could not control, I would laugh at that manager कि तेरा 2 साल का बच्चा है तू मेरे से यहाँ पे 6 बजे तक बात कर रहा है सो. But I can't control him, right? I can't control him. That fellow would come to me and say, "Oh, this is $100 million opportunity. The client will do this." And this is all after second wave. After second wave, I'm like, client का 100 million है ना, मेरे को तो उतना ही पैसा मिल रहा है ना, तो मैं क्यों 12 बजे तक काम करूं? तो क्लाइंट ठीक है. सी ऑल ऑफ दिस एज एन एंटिटी यू हैव टू स्टार्ट टेकिंग एक्शन टू इट. लाइक इट फील्स कि ओ मैं ये सब कर लूंगा. बट जब मैं व्हेन आई वाज आल्सो स्पीकिंग ना मन में कि क्यों मैं करूं, मैं अंदर मेरे अंदर से डर आ रहा था, फट रही थी मेरी कि यार ये ना जाके मेरे को रिव्यू में बजाएगा. बट यू हैव टू टेक अ रिस्क सम टाइम यार. इट विल कम एट अ कॉस्ट. यू विल हैव टू टेक इट. ठीक है. यू वांट टू सेट अप योरसेल्फ एज अ गाय और अ गर्ल हु और पर्सन हु हैज अ वर्क लाइफ एंड लाइफ आउटसाइड वर्क. You do it from day one. Fine, people will not expect more from you. You should also not expect more from people. ठीक है. तुमको अगर 50,000 की नौकरी में बोला है और उसमें बोला है यार तुम 8 घंटे ही करोगे, तो तुम मत करो 50,000 की नौकरी में 15 घंटे का काम. ठीक है. और अगर तुम 50,000 में 8 घंटे की नौकरी कर रहे हो, तो जो 15 में कर रहा है उसके हिसाब से रिजल्ट मत एक्सपेक्ट करो. Right? If the company is rewarding, if your company rewards somebody who works more and you choose not to do it, then don't say कि यार वो बंदा this कर. It's their choice, right? And it's your choice. So it's always to you what you want to do. And I would recommend ke start having that kind of a fearlessness from the very beginning, because it's now not a matter of the company that you're working in right now. It's about people. You go to Google also, और बाहर से बहुत fancy दिखता है, they give you perks and all that, but अंदर जाओगे ना वहां भी बहुत रगड़ा है. बहुत रगड़ा है. तो every company, all this, like this is all PR and marketing gimmick. This is wonderful, this is wonderful. पीछे जाके employees को सब निचोड़ते हैं. Particularly you will see with Indians in general, I have noticed Americans and Europeans are amazing to work with. ठीक है. Indians in general are the most horrible people to work with. We are horrible people. We talk about slave mentality. हम लोग निकले ही नहीं है भाई. हम लोग आज भी मतलब वो क्या था वो 1857 में ही चल रहे हैं हम कि
Dahadi.
a same guy, I'll give an example, a same guy who was working with me in the Pune office here gets a H1 visa, moves to US, and suddenly becomes my boss. And like, Abhay, you should adjust this. I'm like, dude, I used to work with you here. Now suddenly you have become my boss. Indians around the world, I have observed, are the most horrible people to work with. ठीक है. Very few have understood that there should be a balance in life. So set those things and make sure. See, I'll tell you what. One more last point I'll say is, if once you set that boundary, when your juniors will come, they will appreciate you for that. Right. So my boss was a very horrible person, completely hollow, had no knowledge. He made my life very miserable when I joined ZS in 2015. ठीक है. आई डिसाइडेड इमीडिएटली कि मेरे जूनियर्स होंगे ना, मैं उनको मतलब बच्चों की तरह ट्रीट करूंगा. लाइक आई विल बी लाइक कि भाई गाइस गो होम, इट्स 9, इट्स वे टू लेट. अगर कुछ क्लाइंट का फटा है, फट गया ना, फट गया, ठीक है, फट गया. अनलेस एंड अनटिल इट इज लाइक इमीडिएट रिपेयरेबल, देन इट्स ओके, वरना गो होम. मैं आज भी लोगों को पुश करता हूँ. फ्राइडे को लाइक सम वन गाइज लाइक भैया हम लोग बात कर लेते हैं 8 बजे. आई एम लाइक इट्स फ्राइडे, इट्स फ्राइडे. फ्राइडे को तो यू शुड लीव बाय 5. I have closed my laptop on 5 and I am checking my emails on my phone. So that is also an element that even if you come across people who are not like you can set the precedent, and you can be the person to be with. Ki, हाँ यार, Diksha is a nice person to work with, right? She understands boundaries, understands, respects everything. वो है. एंड वीकेंड भी मत करो यार काम. मेरे को कल भी लगा था कि वो अभी मेरा 3 घंटे का काम बाकी है, बट आई नीड टू मेक दिस डेक एंड ऑल. आई विल वर्क ऑन वीकेंड. बट देन आई रियलाइज व्हाई. Nobody's going to look at a weekend, right? So I'll do it on Monday only. I'll get up at 6 on Monday and I'll do it then only. So don't get into these habits. Don't do it. I would recommend don't do it from the beginning only. you will be at peace with life.
Thank you so much, sir, for this at least setting up this guest lecture for us on the.
Most of it, this is about, like, I whenever I go somewhere, I say, don't do these mistakes, yeah, okay. And I don't know how many people will come up front and talk about this. Everyone has been through it, okay. And right now I have the fortune of working with a lot of big CXO, like MD level people, with some of our clients in India. बट मैं उनको वही देखता हूँ, लाइक उनके रात के 3 बजे ईमेल क्यों आ रहे हैं यार, मतलब आई डोंट वांट टू बी, I'm okay. I don't want to be an MD. If being an MD or a CEO means that I cannot sleep at 3 in the night, I don't want that life. It's okay. I'm completely an opposite guy, by the way. In my college, I was like, I want a Mercedes I'll buy a Mercedes in the first 5 years of my job. That's the kind of guy I was. Job लगी नहीं है और पहले 5 साल में Mercedes चाहिए. पता भी नहीं है कि Mercedes का cost कितना है, ठीक है? But पहले 5 साल में Mercedes चाहिए. I used to look at the road and I'll be like, कि यार मैं तो Yamaha FZ पे ड्राइव कर रहा हूँ या Enfield पे जा रहा हूँ, and people are in Mercedes. It completely changed. My perspective in the last 2 years has completely changed. I have seen people crying in a Mercedes and an Audi, and I realized happiness comes from where you are and what you have. Okay? It doesn't come from what you buy. That's why there's a story on my podcast which says money can buy happiness, but that is not the true essence of the story. It's like a opposite. It's a complete opposite. The story is a complete opposite of that.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Abhay, sir. Thank you very much. As we are moving, means running out of time, because if we will continue, I think that everyone will enjoy your discussion, your thoughts, and actually the practical approach to the life, which will help our students. So, thank you, sir. And one line I mentioned, I would like to repeat here. When something is important enough, you do it even if the odds are not in your favor. So really, it's very means important for all the students to understand that something is important enough, then you will get up at any time and you will do that thing. And if it is not important, then though the things are in your favor, you will hardly take it seriously and you will complete that task. As well as the innovation and ideation are important. Time in a bottle, the example which is really very important for in today's discussion. What you consume is what you become. So as all you know that means, I would like to add over here that in our campus we provide a canteen facility in campus, and I think if any one student can tell that how's the food is in campus. Yes, any student can tell. No, tell frankly. If it's good, then say good. Otherwise, say
You're
average,
putting them in
poor.
a very uncomfortable spot. I
No,
don't
no,
know
no,
how
sir.
many.
I want a true feedback from student side. Yes, anyone can say how's the food? Average, good, best.
Good enough, sir. Good enough.
Good, na? So at least no problem. It's good. So we can make it excellent. Okay, with your advice. And sir, power of yes and no is important. And thank you for. And one more thing which I have noted: nothing comes free of cost, whether it will take your money or time. So, dear student, these insights will help you to understand the actual reality in market and how to adjust with that, because everyone have odds in their life. And now over to you, Poonam. Yes,
I'll just add
Yes,
one
sir.
quick point, sir. Sorry, I
yes,
know I've already
yes.
taken too much time. So, building on the question that Diksha asked, right? So, मैंने अभी तक ये बात करी है that what if you have a side hustle, right? You have something to do. Some people might not have that, and it is completely fine. Irrespective of whether you have something to pursue or not, make sure you have time for yourself. Okay, doing nothing is also okay. I mean, there is no problem in that, and the same concepts apply. If you are doing nothing, then don't compare with somebody who's working for 15 hours a day, right? If you are prioritizing a little bit of personal life, personal time, sitting in the balcony sipping wine as a part of your life, don't then compare with somebody who's spending that time working on a podcast or some YouTube channel. Compare mat karo, right? Be Understand that it's completely fine what is a priority to you, and it's okay not to do anything. I mean, when sometimes in our company we discuss के यार ना करने का भी तो टाइम होना चाहिए, हाँ, कुछ मतलब कुछ नहीं करने का मतलब it's not like that you have to always be stimulated by something. We are not sensors in a lift or something जो हमेशा ही चालू रहता है. So it's completely fine that you give that recovery time to yourself. You just want to hang out with friends. That's also part of life, but make it a part of life. डोंट फील, ये सब चीजें ना बाद में बहुत दिक्कत करते हैं यार, वेरी डिफिकल्ट टू एस्टैब्लिश लेटर ऑन इफ यू आर नॉट सेट दैट अर्ली. सो यार, टू दीक्षा's point, I would say yes, try early, start early. आज पुश करोगे तब जाके वो 2 साल बाद सेटअप होगा, right? And it will take some time of its own. But one last thing, there's something called as a rule of pi. Okay, it's usually used in motorsports, and I used to be part of a motorsports design team in college. So rule of pi says that if you think that some work will take 100, some time will take about 1 week to get finished, it will actually take about 3.14 weeks to get finished. Pi into the number of things. So if you feel that, okay, this will cost you, when you start your venture, when you start a side hustle, this will cost you about 1,000 rupees or 100 rupees, it will actually cost you 3,140 rupees, or 314. This is a way to estimate कि यार हाँ मतलब, it's a fraction, that a factor, a standard factor you put in, कि cost which that you start with can always be higher than in the future, right? So this cost can again translate into physical cost, actual money cost, or could be you yourself. You started the side hustle, जैसे वो मिर्जापुर का डायलॉग है, मजबूरी में किए थे अब मजा आ रहा है, ठीक है? तो अगर वैसा मजा आने लगा, तो if you see गुड्डू भैया's journey, the cost has increased, right? So that will have
Yes,
apply.
yes,
And if you have anything
yes.
like you would like to discuss or share, feel free to ping me on LinkedIn. I'm happy to have a chat with you guys later on as well. But thank you so much, sir, and thank you so much, team, for having me.
Just
Thank you,
just
sir. Thank you for coming on this platform and sharing your views, sir. Yes, Poonam, you can continue.
Yes, thank you so much, sir, for sharing your journey and valuable experience loaded with insights from your from your own personal life. And thank you for giving us the direction from such an embryonic stage of our career. And I'm sure that this might have evoked the entrepreneurs sitting in this session and also pushed some of them to take that next step. So thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. We would like to invite you to our campus for physical interaction also once time permit, as all students are attending all the classes online. Once they will come physically to campus, we would like to invite you for the physical interaction too, sir.
Sure, sir. That will be wonderful. I love
Yes,
to
sir.
have food in your cafeteria then. Just kidding, just
Thank you,
kidding.
sir.
But
Thank you very
thank
much,
you
sir.
so much.
Thank you,
Thank you
sir.
so much
Bye,
for the
sir.
time.
Thank you,
Bye.
sir.
Yes, next session will start immediately. Okay. Next session will start immediately. You can log out and log into next link. Yes.